Okay, this is our new bowsmith. I'm going to go through some of the points with you about how to set up a bow on this and go through the features of this. On the rear of the shooter here, you'll find adjustments for windage and elevation. We have they're both fine adjustments. Next, you'll see the winch. Following that will be a winch guide, and this keeps everything linear, so you're not pulling torque on your bow. Next is a draw stop. That's real important to keep when your bow's at full set so you don't overdraw your bow and do damage. Next you have is a bow carrier. This device allows the string to be drawn back squarely and true every time. It comes back this spot, and then you'll have your release and safety device. In front of that, we have the bow square. This is set square with the top bar, so when you can eyeball your string up to keep your bow square with your machine and square with your cable. The front of this is where we have the bow hand. Bow sits in here, it's totally adjustable, and to the right of this we also have what I call a torque box, which you adjust to take the torque out of the bow if you're shooting and help square everything up. Okay, now I want to show you the proper setup and operation of this machine. We'll start with placing our bow in the bow hand. The easiest way to do this is hold the bow in place like this. Knock the string to the release. Take a couple clicks up on it, put some tension on it, and then put your safety on. Always use a safety when you're doing setups of. If the D-loop comes loose, at least it's going to catch the string. Never ever, if you have an arrow in this, never walk in the front of this. Things happen. Sitting in there, with our fingers, put the set screw nut on. We got this little device here, is a kicker. And most part you don't need it, but I like to use it anyway. This holds a bow from racking back. Alright, you want to set that in place and start tightening these down evenly. Depends on the taper. Hoyt has a slight taper toward the front. So if you over tighten the back one, it's going to push the bow forward. So we'll tighten up your front ones first. And here I put a little torque tension on it to help seat the bow back against the hand all the way. Tighten these down good. Okay. Those tight. Get back the tension off the winch. Now with this bar here, you adjust with a square. Want to set it square up and down with your top cross member. And we have a nut in back here if you want to move it up or down or store it out of the way. Once it's squared, it's not going to move. Okay, that being done, so eyeball your string square with the rod there. The easiest way to do this is just put a little torque on either one of these bolts in the back here and move it till it's square. Okay, with the bowstring square with a rail, the next thing you want to do is adjust the bow in or out with these two 1-inch nuts on the end here. Loosen those and allow you to pull the bow to the right or left to center it as close to the eyeball as you can to your release here. You want to measure your strap, which should, at this point, is 2.5 inches. And then you want to move back, set your guide to 2.5 inches. Then you move up to your string. You want to measure your string. That's at 2 1/4. And this one's 2 3/4. Okay, to adjust this here, we're going to use our torque box, which is, there's 4 1/2-inch bolts. Release 2 bolts, loosen 2 bolts up, adjust it in or out, and it'll turn your bow to the direction it needs to go to line it up so it's square. After adjusting that, you come back here, find out 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2. So it should be good and straight. At that point, then I set an arrow in, double check it, and knock an arrow. Slide your release up, and your release should hook up just like this. Should be no, you should be able to, should line up square. When you move it forward, it should come into place pretty much by itself. Put a couple turns on, put a little tension on, get behind it, eyeball down your strap, through your arrow, through your sight, and it should be straight and true. And spend a little extra time on this if you're going to be shooting this and tuning arrows, because this is where your accuracy will come in at. You want it to get as little to no torque at all. Okay, at this point in the setup, your bow is ready to be shot. If you want to tune arrows or tune your bow, or just see how it actually works, knock your arrow. I got draw stop here that I'm releasing. Release your winch. It just lines up perfectly there. Now, if I was shooting, I would not be wouldn't bother to put this on. But I'm inside my house, so we're not going to take any chances here. Put the safety on there, so if it does, D-loop comes off, release goes off by accident, it's going to catch the arrow. Okay, start cranking your bow back. Draw it back, watch your stop. Get it to where you like it. This little thing here is a draw stop. Bring it up, but just short of, do not touch your carriage. Tighten it down in place. At this point, your machine, you can line it up, make sure it's going to hit the target. You got fine adjustments for elevation and windage here. I usually shoot 3 or 4 arrows to settle the machine in, but generally if it's set up right to start with, it'll hit hole for hole right off the bat. You want to put some weight on here or bolt it to the ground. This I generally tie a 5-gallon bucket suspended from the center of this inside 2-inch T-rod, and that holds it in place really, really, really good. Okay, now we've shot our arrow. I'm going to back this off. Okay. And if you want to use it as a drawboard, leave your safety on there, draw your bow back. You can do all your setup right here on your bow. There's nothing that you cannot do on here. I like to set up my D-loop, everything here. One of the most accurate ways I've found is just to use a simple square. This is a Carbon Express square, and I cut the tit off the bottom of it. First thing I do, attach my square, line up my burger hole so it's in dead center or close. Mark my knock spot. Put my D-loop on. Usually I just set a knock in there, put a D-loop on, and we go from there. Put your arrow in. Put your arrow in upside down. Keep the fletching away. Like so. Then you set your set your square back down, and I like a little bit of knock high, so I adjust the rest so it's down a little bit. Set my in or out the factory specs, and you're good to go there. You can use levels on this. If you like using levels, first thing you want to do is you want to level your top rail here, adjust your elevation trim here till it's perfect. And then you put your levels on your string and your arrow and do it that way. But for what I've found is simple and best. Usually there's no problems with the old square. Okay, also comes in handy here with this machine is being able to set your sight. This sight happens to be, my bow I know is right, but I set the bow up in here. You'll want to set it up in your vise hand first. Make sure it's plumb. I use a little level, find a square spot on the bow, either vertically or horizontally, to set it up so it's perfect, as close as you can get it. Adjust your sight so it's same. Then if you want to do your third axis, it's as simple as backing off this main nut in the back, letting your bow go down. Okay, kind of lock it in place. Then you can adjust your third axis. And it's very easy, quick. Okay, and now got that. Another nice feature of this machine is being able to change strings, cables, cams on your bow with just one machine here. First thing you want to do is set your bow back square again. It always helps keep everything just as square and true as you can all the time. Hook your string up, your D-loop, put the safety on. This is important. You always want to use a safety anytime you're doing anything other than shooting the bow. Okay. That's done. Here we got, I'll show you how we change our cables and stuff on here with this little device. Crank your bow back. You don't have to pull it back far. Here's a little device that is totally adjustable. It fits almost any bow. You gotta kind of use extreme caution with this thing. You know, it is safe. It's a lot of energy stored in these bows. A little set screw on the side here helps hold everything together. What you're going to want to do is slide this up out of the way, set your bottom, hold that in place, temporary, set your top one on, find which cable stop is going to be appropriate for you, which is this one here. This is just finger tight now. You don't need a wrench for this. It's just all holds itself in place. Okay, set your top on, set your bottom one on, and this here, you want to just slowly back it off. Keep it square with the limbs. They're putting a little tension. Make sure your top is square all the way in. Cable's out of the way. All the way in. And let your bow down. As long as the hooks are on, cables are on, it's safe. From this spot, you could change. Take this off. You can change your cables. You can pull your cams out. As long as everything's true up here, it's nice and tight in there. There's no problem pulling the cams out. If you've got to do anything other than that, you know, when you start tearing the limbs out, I recommend you take it to a bow shop. I mean, it's just, and if you screw something up, you can always take it to the bow shop like this. take it out of the machine, leave the cable on. And as far as working on the bow, loosen this nut in the back here. You can run your bow parallel like this, if you like, or you can run it all the way upside down. Spin it around so you can get all your cable ends, do your adjustments, and spin it back around. Same thing here is you want to make sure, like put my D-loop back on, lock it in place, just to start out square. Like anything else, you don't want to be pulling stuff at angles. Okay. Tighten that down. Want to take it out of the press, just take up a couple of turns. Make sure your cables are all still on, everything's on where it belongs. Take it down a couple of times, and off we go. One of the nicest bow presses I ever used in my life. It's just easy. And it's safe. And it's safe for the average user.